Can't see what I look like, but I'm assuming that it is strange. Hello team, my name is Monique. Welcome back to this cauldron and an unhaul that has been chilling on my floor basically since we moved in, so let's go. This Bookwitchreviews, my channel, and I moved house 2 months ago. I bought a house. It's very cute. You might have seen it or bits of it anyway. Oh god, my glasses are real dirty and I really can't see anything. So I have bookshelves behind me, obviously, and then I have a window right there, and it's a lovely window, lots of light. Means I can't see anything when I'm filming, so at least I'll be slightly less narcissistic. And I got my hair colored yesterday, which is why it's looking a little odd. Not the color, I'm loving the color. It's the actual, the curls to sort of leave whenever. So that's an exciting thing because I was this close to cutting all my hair off. And now to the unhaul. So, as per usual, disclaimer, just because I'm unhauling a book doesn't mean that I dislike it. I don't dislike the author. If you love the book, great for you. Sometimes I unhaul books that I like. Sometimes I have duplicate copies. And I try not to keep books that I don't have plans to sort of reread, or at least like that I love a whole lot. So I'm trying to be better about getting rid of stuff. And obviously there are still books on my shelves that I'm like, I will probably never reread that, but I can't get rid of it. I had another unhaul a little while back. When did I have an unhaul? January? No. Sometime earlier this year I had another unhaul, and a few of the books that I unhauled actually ended up staying because I haven't sold them. And then I had another like little moment of like, oh god, should I keep them? And now I'm like, no, we are not keeping them. No, out. So I'm just going to show you those really quick, and then let's just do the unhaul time. I don't know if I'm going to actually tell you what the book is about, but we'll see. So the Illumicrate edition of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Ree Swab, which I have another edition of, and I really enjoyed this book, but I don't need 2 copies of it, so I am getting rid of this. Very stunning, but I like the Forbidden Planet edition better, and I just like the blue, even though it does have that fucking sticker on it, and I hate that. But yeah, that one. We have a Waterstones edition of Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. I have another edition of this. I don't need 2. Then we have The Binding by Bridget Collins, who has turned out to be a little bit of a turf, and I don't need that in my life, and I've been trying to get rid of it, and I just need to chuck it, basically. Now we have a book that has survived quite a few unhauls, and it nearly survived it again, and now it's back on out, and this is The Court of Miracles by Kester Grant, which is a Les Mis retelling. I thought this was fine. I didn't love it that much, but it survived because it's stunning, and it's still stunning, but I will never reread this because I didn't particularly enjoy it. So out it goes. And we have Law by Alexandra Bracken, which I actually thought was fine, but I will not reread it. And I'm just, I want to keep this because I love this cover, but I won't. Will I? No, out it goes. We have Goddess in the Machine by Laura Beth Johnson, which I actually really enjoyed, but I'll never reread it. It's a sort of sci-fi time travel mystery with a girl who wakes up without really knowing how she ended up where she is, and it's some really interesting sort of like explorations of how language might evolve, and that's really exciting, but I'll never reread it. So out it goes. And then we have a book that keeps going on the pile and off the pile, and that's Good Luck Girls by Charlotte Nicole Davis, which is sort of like a fantasy western. I really enjoyed this, but I will never reread it. So then I recently bought special editions of Poison Study by Maria Reese Snyder, which is one of my favorites, like favorite YA series that I've been reading for what feels like 15-20 years. So these 2 paperbacks that I found secondhand, I'm getting rid of them. This is Magic Study, and this is a Fire Study, which I believe is number 3. So both of these are out. Then we have Blaze Wrath Games by Emperor Ortiz, which I really wanted to love, and I ended up not really. It's sort of like magical realism and dragons, sort of Olympics, and it has some interesting bits, but I thought the time frame was a bit meh. So out it goes. Then we have Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, which I remember really enjoying, but I've never gotten back into it, and I've never read the rest of the series, so I probably won't reread it. But from what I remember, it is a very good YA fantasy. NA fantasy? I think it's YA. Then we have The Cousins by Karen M. McManus, which is like thriller YA. I haven't read this, I'm never going to read it, and I need to stop keeping things on my shelves just because I get them. So out we go. We have Viper by Bex Hogan, which is another sort of YA fantasy, and I actually really enjoyed this, except for the tense that it's written in. There was something that annoyed me and I can't remember what it is. So I've been keeping this because I really wanted to continue the series, and I just don't think that I will. And if I ever want to, I'm just gonna buy it again. So here we go. Then I have an extra copy of Chain of Gold, The Last Hours, book 1 by Cassandra Clare. And I haven't read the first one, and so my second copy can go elsewhere. Don't ask me how I got a second copy, I just did. Then we have A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth, which is urban fantasy, sort of multi-POV, and I really wanted to love this, and in the end I thought it was just fine. I didn't particularly care for all of the characters. I cared for a few, but I won't continue the series, so this is going to someone who will hopefully enjoy it. And An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir, which I actually have on ebook, and that's how I read it the first time. And I found this in a charity shop, and that's why I bought it, because I was like, ooh, exciting. But I don't think I'll ever actually read the rest of the series, and if I do, I'll probably read them on ebook. So I don't need this to take up space on my shelf, so out we go. Then we have What Big Teeth by Rose Sasbo, which is sort of like horror thriller, creepy vibes, and I enjoyed this a surprising amount, but I've heard some not so nice things about the author, and I don't think I will ever actually reread it, so it can go to someone else. Then we have the Book Talk favorite, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is like a fake autobiography, and people love it so very much, but I have seen some, I think, very valid critiques of the way that Taylor Jenkins Reid sort of writes about Latina women, and I already was a little bit on the fence about whether or not I would ever read this, because it's quite far out of the genre that I normally focus on, so I just don't think it's going to happen. And quite a few of these paperbacks are secondhand anyway, so they're just going to go back to another secondhand shop. I have 2 copies of this already. I do not need a third. This is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I love Sarah J. Maas. I love Nesta, and I love this series, but I only need 2 of these books. I do not need 3. So, out. Then we have A Buffering by Hannah Hart. Hannah Hart was a YouTuber that I watched religiously back in the day, and I still really enjoy her content. This is her autobiography, and I read it quite a while ago, and I really enjoyed it, but I don't think I'll ever reread it again, because autobiographies already for me are a little bit like, how often do I do that? Not often. So out you go. This is going to be controversial. This is The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss, which is the second book in the, what's the series actually called? Kingkiller Chronicles. It's the sequel to The Name of the Wind, and I really enjoyed The Name of the Wind, and then I found this in a second-hand shop, and The Name of the Wind edition is like a little regular paperback, and this is like an absolutely massive like thing, and I'm just kind of like, I will not read the second book before the third book comes out, if the third book ever comes out, because I will need to reread the first book, and that's just not a thing that I want to do right now, because it's quite intensely adult fantasy, and quite very much like the old traditions of adult fantasy, where we just don't have a lot of female perspectives, and I like my women in my fantasy, so you know, also my queers, which I don't have any of, so I'm gonna get rid of this. And if the third book ever comes out, I will read it, I promise. This is another book that has escaped my unhauling experiments so many times, and it might still do it again. This is White Cat by Holly Black, which is sort of like urban fantasy, historical fantasy, as far as I remember. And I've had it for so long, and I remember really enjoying it, and I keep thinking, oh, I'll just reread it, and then I'm like, no, I won't, I'll get rid of it, and then it goes back on my shelves, and then it goes out, and then it goes back, and it probably will just like have a little slide, and it'll just stay here for another couple of months. Then we have The Flames of Albion by Jen Jean said Menzies, which is a booktuber and booktalker that I really enjoy watching. This is one of her indie published books. It's like a cozy fantasy, and I'm sad to say that it was just one that I didn't really mesh with. And I ended up like not enjoying it as much as I was expecting, so I won't reread it, and it's gonna go to another house and home. It is queer though, so that's nice. I have a really hard time letting go of this. Why? Because I've had it for so long. This is Blood Noir by Laura K. Hamilton, and it's an Anita Blake book, and I've had this since 2009, so a good couple of years, and I just love these little sort of like trade paperbacks, and I am getting rid of it because I found an edition of this book that matches so I basically have the series in 2 sets, like the really old school American ones, and then the new republished series that are all red, and they're really cute, and I found Blood Noir in red, so we're getting rid of this, and I'm like, it's so hard. It's so hard. This is The Hobbit by J.R. Tolkien. This is a secondhand copy that I found, and I really actually want a nice copy, so I'm going to get rid of this and buy myself a really nice copy for like Christmas. I love these like traditional covers, but it's just a little bit gross, and I don't love that. We have The Waking Lands by Callie Bates, which is a book that I was so excited about finding in a secondhand shop, and then I read it, and then I was like, this was okay, but I'm never gonna reread it, and I'm mad about it because like Tamora Pierce has written a heartbreaking, enchanting, edge of deceit read that held me captive from start to finish. Tamora Pierce, why did you lie to me? That was so sad. But yeah, I enjoyed this. It was fine. Very YA fantasy. Had some interesting bits, but then it sort of fell flat for me, so out you go. Then we have 2 books that I have been trying to unhaul for years, and I just can't make myself, and then they like, I put them in the unhaul pile, and then they go back off of the unhaul pile every time, but this time we're gonna try. So this is The Girl with All the Gifts by Emma Carey, which is a zombie novel. I really enjoyed this, but I will never reread it, no matter how many times I tell myself that I will. So out we go. If I dwell on it for too long, it'll go back off the pile. And then we have Promise of the Wolves by Dorothy Hurst, which is a book that I read many moons ago, and I loved it so much, and I just like, I'm never gonna reread it, but I want to keep it, but I'm just like, no, absolutely not. No, baby, it's not staying. It's going out. It's going out. It's going out. You can do it, I believe. Okay, so that is the Unhaul Project for today. So this is an add-on to the Unhaul Project, which I haven't edited yet because I have more books to unhaul. So first off, I sent my uni friend home with a variety of books, including my additional edition of A Song for the Wild Book by Becky Chambers, which I love. I just had 2 copies because I bought an extra copy because I wanted these stickers, and I love this book very much. I also finally got rid of In the Ravenous Dark by A.K. Strickland, which was just not a book for me. I really wanted it to be, and it wasn't. I also got rid of The Forest of Souls by, I can't remember the author, which was fine, but I'm never going to reread it. And also I got rid of Hag, which was a series of short story collections inspired by mythology, which I did enjoy, but I will never reread it. And also my extra edition of The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid, which I really enjoyed, and I had 2 copies and I wanted to share it with a friend. It's like gothic fantasy. So good. And then next to me I have a stack of books that I will now also be getting rid of because I've been a bit stern about what I want to keep because I don't quite have enough space on my bookshelves, and also some of these I'm holding on to them for silly reasons. First off, these are so pretty. Why are they so beautiful and so bad? Like, I was entertained. I haven't read The War of Two Queens yet. I may read this before I sell it, and yes, I will be selling these because they were expensive. But these are the Illumicrate special editions of the first 4 books in the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, who is just not an author for me. Okay, she's just not. It's fantasy romance, and it is average. I'm sorry, like, for me, this is my opinion. If you love them, good for you. I really wanted to love them. I wanted to be in on the hype time, and I can't feel it, because I gave the first book, I think, like 3 stars at the most. I gave the second book like 2.5, and the third book 2. And most of those are me being generous about it. It's probably more like 2.5, 1.5, and like 1. But I only give books 1 star if I wanted to DNF it and I pushed through. So yeah, I will be selling these. They are very beautiful. I wish they could stay on my bookshelf. And even though my girlfriend is very kind and being like, you don't have to get rid of any if you don't want to, you could just keep them. And I'm like, no, the rules of the bookshelves are that if I'm not going to reread them, I don't keep them unless I have like a very specific attachment to them. So yeah, out they go. Next, we have some books that I will just never reread. First off, this terrible thing. I'm really sorry. I wanted to love it so bad. This is Young Blood by Sasha Lawrence. It is like magical realism vampires in boarding school, and it just really did not gel with me. I ended up giving it 1 star because I wish that I DNF'd it, but it's so short that I was just like, oh, I can power through, and I wish I hadn't, because it did not get better. So out you go. Then we also have 2 books that I've been keeping for a long time because I really enjoyed them, but I will never reread them. This is You Deserve a Drink by Mamrie Hart, and I've got this round. They're sort of like autobiographical, like humorous. They're by a comedian and YouTuber, Mamrie Hart, who I absolutely love. I will never reread these. They are going out. I also recently read Ash Lords by Scott Reagan, and I thought this was just fine. However, I will never reread it. It's one of these that I'm like, maybe I'll keep it because maybe I will reread it. So it's like a maybe I leave, maybe it goes. And then we have these babies that so I've read this series, The Wind Singer by William Nicholson, like when I think I was like 16, 17, and I had this exact set, and then I got rid of it, and then a while back I found the whole set and it looks completely fine, like secondhand, and I was like, oh, I should reread this because fun. And I don't think I ever will. They just take up space, and like, yes, they are nostalgic, and that is the only reason why I would keep them. Then we have this very short Why I Write by George Orwell, which I have tried to read like 3 times, and I'm not gonna read it. I will, however, take my bookmark back. Thank you. I won't read it. I think it's one of those that I picked up because I was like, it's Why I Write, I should read that, but it goes into a whole lot of like historical stuff, and I don't kind of care. So next, we have some other books that I just don't think I'll ever read that I have picked up. These are actually all secondhand books that I've picked up. First off, we have Becoming by Michelle Obama, which I've been meaning to pick up for like a while. I found it in one of these free libraries, and I was like, oh, great. I wanted to pick that up. It's been on my bookshelf for I think about 2 years now, and it's not being picked up. So someone else can have the enjoyment of this. Next we have The Martian by Andy Weir. I want to read it, but it's just not being the focus, and I sort of feel like if I really wanted to read it, I could pick it up from the library. And then we have, and I think people are going to be mad because I do have the later books. We have like Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising, which is the 2nd and 3rd book in the Grisha series. I have the 1st book on ebook, and I'm kind of like, I'm just gonna ebook them if I really do want to read them, but it also annoys me that these are 2 different sizes, and I can't. So that's an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. An additional 19 books that's going out. So I am proud of me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe button at the same time so you don't miss out on any other videos from me. You can also click the little bell, which will give you a notification when I put up a new video, which I promise to do at one point in life. Hopefully this will be edited and you'll see it. All right, remember, I'm proud of you. I'll see you soon. All right.